You Speak Prada? Confessions of a Shopaholic is up next on Rediscovered Movies. Hello, welcome to a new episode of Rediscovered Movies. I'm your host, Nomfanelo Malloy. So today I have a special guest. It's his first time on the podcast, so please welcome Max Housany.
Hi, everyone.
Hey Max, I'm lucky to have you here today. So, we will be talking about Confessions of a Shopaholic. So, Confessions of a Shopaholic is a 2009 rom com which is based on the books The Secret Dreamworld of a Shopaholic and Shopaholic Abroad by Sophie Kinsella. The film is directed by P.J. Hogan, who's known for films such as My Best Friend's Wedding and Murriel's Wedding. It's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who's known for producing films such as the Bad Boys series and the Top Gun series. The screenplay is by Tracy Jackson, Tim Firth, and Kayla Alpert. The film stars Isla Fisher, Hugh Dancy, and Joan Cusack. So here is the synopsis. Like many New York City gals, Rebecca Bloomwood loves to shop. The trouble is, she shops so much that she is drowning in debt. Rebecca would love to work at the city's top fashion magazine, but so far has not been able to get her foot in the door. Then she lands a job as an advice columnist for a financial magazine owned by the same company. Her column becomes an overnight success, but her secret threatens to ruin her love life and career. So the film was released in theaters on February 13th, 2009. In terms of box office, it has made over $108 million worldwide, so about 44.2 million domestic and 63.7 million international. It opened at number 4 domestic with over 15 million. It was beaten by films including Friday the 13th, He's Just Not That Into You, and Taken. In terms of critical reception, it has a 27% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, where they say this middling romantic comedy underutilizes a talented cast and delivers muddled messages on materialism and conspicuous consumption. The audience gave it 49%. So at the time of this recording, it is streaming on Disney Plus and it is available on demand, so check your local provider. All right, so we could get into first discoveries. So, Max, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I actually didn't really know about this movie until you introduced it to me, Numphy. And I'm really glad you did. I know I'm going to be jumping ahead a bit, but like I do love fashion and like I'm into the whole designer brand, as you can tell by my like Burberry little scarf here. Um,
Of course.
yeah, so it was really entertaining. I found it really entertaining, and yeah, more thoughts on it to come.
Awesome. So for me, I think I saw like trailers and TV promos for this movie at the time it came out. I didn't see it in theaters, but I ended up renting it on DVD when it came out during its home video release, and I enjoyed the movie for what it was because I was used to into romantic comedies, so I feel like yeah, this one was like a fun movie to watch, like if you're fans of the genre. But watching it now, like I still enjoy it. But I think for me, I have not read the books, so I'm not familiar with the lore. But from what I've heard, apparently this movie is not that faithful to the books because I think, as I noted, it's based on two books specifically. So they probably picked and choose which moments to put in the movie and so forth. So again, I can't comment to that, but I guess looking all on that now, like I wish maybe it could have been more faithful to the books, but maybe that could happen in the future if they decide to reboot it as a film or a TV series. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I haven't read the books either.
Mhm.
Actually didn't know the books existed until you mentioned it earlier. But yeah, I'm surprised it got such a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes because I maybe I'm a bit biased here, but I do love my rom-coms, and I thought this was a
Hmm.
pretty good one. I really enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. Um, I know first hearing about it, I'm like, oh, this is probably like one of those movies that is going to be super cheesy, which it is, but I think it's campy and cheesy in a good way. Like it doesn't overdo it, for me at least. So yeah, I had a good time watching it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we could get into the highlights section, essentially what we liked about this movie. So do you want to start, Max?
Yeah, I love the fashion.
Yes.
All
Yes.
like the brand names, the fashion. Oh, I loved how over the top certain scenes were, especially with Isla
Hmm.
Fisher when she would get into trouble. And I particularly liked the scene where she found the 50% off Gucci boots. I know my jaw dropped when I heard 50% off Gucci boots, and when she fought the lady, I was like, that's totally me. Those
Yeah.
were some nice boots. I would fight over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually I enjoyed the love story. I thought
Hmm.
oh, his name is escaping my mind right now. What was
Luke.
Luke? Yes.
Hmm.
I thought Luke Brandon was really cute.
Hmm.
um I thought they had good chemistry. Yeah, I really liked it. I don't think the movie was groundbreaking, but I don't think it had to be.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not a movie that has to be groundbreaking. You know, it's a fun watch. It's a good time, and
Hmm.
yeah, I really liked it for what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will agree with you like about the fashion because it is, I would say, in my opinion, the highlight of the movie. Because this movie came out a couple years after The Devil Wears Prada, because like both of those movies based on books and they're both set in New York City, so interesting parallels there with those movies. But I like how like with this movie not only focuses on fashion but it focuses on money because money is clearly
Mm,
an important issue like for the main character in this movie because essentially when the movie started like when she was young like she saw like these women buying like these fancy clothes and she wanted to have that but she was poor, so growing up we see her wearing all these fancy clothes and essentially she's not interested in guys at the time because she'd rather use her credit cards, as she would say, magic cards, to spend so much
mm.
money on all those like clothes and shoes that probably like are not necessary, but for her, like, she needs to have them. So I enjoyed, yeah, that aspect of the movie.
What was your favorite look of hers from the film?
Oh gosh, like because I feel I enjoyed her like all her clothes like throughout this
Hmm.
movie. It's hard to pick one. I would say one of them is when she runs into Derek Smith. That's his name. Like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like at the office.
Uh,
And then also to her TV interview look with the
hmm.
purple blouse. That was cute. And there was like one moment where she's wearing like this white coat, look like Dalmatian colors on
Oh
it.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah, like she has good looks in this movie.
yeah, I agree. My favorite look of hers was when she went to the Prada store with Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I loved the neck piece, the belt, and the white dress. Yeah, I was like, yes,
Hmm.
she's rocking this. Even her
Yeah.
waitress outfit, like when they mistook her for a waitress, I'm like, that's a really cute outfit. Like, I don't know how they would mistake her for a waitress.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I enjoyed that sequence because it started like with her trying to unfreeze her credit card from her freezer, which was which was hilarious itself. And then because it plays the Amy Winehouse song "Rehab" in the background, then it cuts to her in the elevator with Luke, Alicia, and all the people like going to the event, and it plays the Rehab song as instrumental, like in the elevator music. So I thought that was a nice touch. Then that led to her like her outfit getting ruined because it had the thread sticking out, but she pulled too hard to get rid of it, which was hilarious. And then that led to a series of events where like she gets into this weird encounter with this late old lady in the changing room. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then she had to like get rid of the jacket because it was ruined, and then all of a sudden like she's thrust into waiting tables. Because honestly, she could have just said, "Oh, I'm not a waitress," but I mean, she did say that. But then the boss is like, "Oh, you want to be an actress," and all that stuff. So I thought that whole sequence for me was hilarious and entertaining.
What did you think about the love story in this one?
I have more to say to that in the lowlights
Okay.
section,
Okay.
but because yeah, like I'll save it for that category. But what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I know it's a very typical love story. Um but I really liked them as a couple. I thought it was cute. I know he did overlook a lot when it came to her.
Hmm.
Um yeah, but like I'm kind of like a sucker for love, so I really
Yeah,
liked it. Yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah. What else do I have to say for this category? New York City. Like, I enjoyed the locations for
Mhm.
this movie when they had locations that's the more glamorous side to it, and then we also see some parts where it's not so glamorous, particularly with the scenes with the parents, like when they're going thrift shopping. So I liked how the movie highlights both aspects of the city. What else? Yeah, this movie it highlights shopping addiction quite well because we see with Rebecca, she's so desperate to buy all these clothes, even though she has high debts. That's why she keeps avoiding Derek Smith like throughout this movie.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that they have like a Shopaholics Anonymous, which I'm just wondering, like, is that an actual thing?
You know what, Numphy? I could see myself in a Shopaholics Anonymous in the future. So I really hope it's a thing. Yeah, I really could see myself in Rebecca's shoes, which kind of scared me a bit. Because of her love for like the high fashion, high designer clothes, and oh
Yeah.
my god, they are so expensive. They are literally, some outfits will cost you more than a paycheck. So I
Hmm.
definitely empathize with her. Yeah, I thought I do like that it took place in New York City.
Hmm.
Um, I think New York is a fashionable city,
Of course.
and
Hmm.
thank God we don't have those high fashion designer stores here in Ottawa, because I would be in debt like Rebecca.
I mean, we have that store at Ritos and the Nordstrom, right? But that's shutting down.
Yeah.
So I mean, but yeah. Yeah. What else? I liked how with the green scarf that essentially is act as the MacGuffin, like it plays an important role in this movie because when Rebecca first sees it, like she immediately wants to have it, but then clearly she does not have enough money, which leads to all these events like her running into Luke. And then that scene with her like pretending to give it to her sick aunt.
Yeah,
It
that
is
girl's
hilarious.
messy. That
Yeah.
girl is messy. Kind of like me, but
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
she is a fun character. She gets into a lot of shenanigans.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And with like the green scarf, I guess in ways like it shows that it's empowering because she uses it as like a code name like for like the articles she does with Luke, and that inspires I guess the customers for the magazine to save their money. And it's hilarious that she's giving advice when she herself is not saving
Hmm.
money. So
Yeah, she definitely made it her signature mark in her
mhm,
brand. So I think even like marketing, that's super smart,
yeah.
marketing wise. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was also clear that she didn't want her actual name in a magazine because to her, like with a money magazine, is not worth it because we all know that she wants to be part of a Let magazine, which kind of serves as like the as this version of Vogue magazine, as like the It magazine. So
Hmm.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And What else? I enjoyed Isla Fisher as Rebecca.
I did too. Yeah, I think she did a good
Mm-hmm.
job. I liked her performance. I also really liked oh god. I don't remember the actress's name. The one who played her best friend.
Oh, Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, I always like enjoy seeing her on screen, and I liked her in this one too. Like I actually really enjoyed their friendship. Like I thought it was super cute, and
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of like her little partner in crime, and it was sad when they had their little falling out, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think it led to Rebecca's growth as well, which is
Mm-hmm.
important to the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I enjoyed after when like she gets into her downfall after getting exposed on TV. Like we kind of see a different side to her character. So
Hmm.
I enjoyed her arc, I guess, from that point of the movie.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Hmm. And but yeah, I enjoyed with Rebecca. she essentially has no filter because there's a moment when she's talking to some guy that works or owns his bank, and she tells him that, oh, you have the most boring windows. And then I guess Fred Armisen, who plays the boss of her boss, pretty much was gets upset with her and tells Luke to keep her on the leash. But then the bank guy, he says, oh, he doesn't mind. It's like, oh, we have the most boring windows, and he takes her advice to heart, which is kind of unexpected,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Oh, I also like the part where she was introduced to the Scandinavian guy, and
yeah,
he started speaking Finnish with her, and like she didn't know how to react or like what he was saying. I thought that
yeah,
was really funny as well.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, another really cool thing I found about this, I'm a big fan of Scott Evans, so Chris Evans' brother. He
Yeah.
had a cameo in this movie. Did you notice that?
Really, which part did he play?
He was the delivery guy who was flirting with the secretary at Alette when Rebecca was hiding in all the clothes.
Oh, that's him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was like, it was a nice little surprise.
Wow, that's interesting. Because I guess that reminds me, because this movie came out, what was it, 2009? It's interesting that when you watch it, let's say back then, you wouldn't recognize a lot of the supporting characters, but we're watching it now. I'm like, oh, this person was in this movie? It's
Yeah, exactly.
interesting. Because, yeah, with Kristen Ritter, who plays Suze, I didn't know her, when I first saw this movie, but then she's becoming an established actress because she was in most notably playing Jessica Jones
Yeah.
with the MCU show. So yeah, it's interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. um, what else? I think that's it from me for what I have. Oh, I do want to note that there's a scene when Luke takes Rebecca to this I guess seminar thing where she thinks it's some sort of initiation, I guess, to
Yeah.
get her job.
Yeah.
I thought,
I
yeah, that was an interesting scene.
What did you think of like the talking mannequins?
I'll talk about that in the next category, but
Okay. I actually
yeah,
kind of like them. Like
it's
I
weird.
thought it was weird, but like I liked the way they did it. I thought it was like kind of cool. Oh,
Yeah,
what
I'll
did you
save it
think of
for the
Rebecca's
next category.
dancing? Oh my god, Rebecca's dancing.
It's cute. It's cute. Yeah.
Girl needs some dancing lessons.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. I wanted to go back a bit to that seminar scene because I thought rewatching this movie with that scene, it kind of felt reminiscent to, I don't know if you've seen The Big Short.
No, I
It's
haven't.
essentially it's a satire movie that focuses on these different characters revolving around the financial crisis back in 2008. But yeah, essentially, there's like a similar scene in that movie with Steve Carell's character. So I like rewatching this movie now, like it kind of brought me back to that moment in The Big Shorts, where essentially they're trying to expose like the elite for taking advantage of, you know, people, essentially.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And I think that's it for me in terms of highlights. If there's anything else that you want to add to this category.
Mm, I think I said pretty much too what I liked about this movie. I actually like. I'm not gonna lie. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe more than I should care to admit. But I really really liked this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into the lowlights section. So for me, like clearly this movie is a romantic comedy. I felt like the romance part was underdeveloped because I didn't see like Rebecca getting interested in Luke until he kisses her was it during their vacation. So like it's clear that he's set up to be the love interest, but I just feel like with that aspect of the movie could have been fleshed out more.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could have developed it a bit more. I actually agree with that statement. I still enjoyed the romance part.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely, yeah, you're right. Like they definitely developed his feelings for her more than her feelings for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And with Felicia, I'm just wondering, like, is she actually like a villain for this movie? Because I feel like it's they set her up to be the villain, but is she actually really? Because I feel like yeah, like they're jealous for one another throughout this movie, but I'm just like, is she
Num
really a villain?
Numpy, I'm on Team Rebecca. I hate Alicia. Alicia's a bitch. I'll say it. She is a villain in my books.
Yeah, but like but I feel like she doesn't like sabotage Rebecca until like later in this movie because I feel like as a villain she should have had a more heavy presence. That's how I'll
Maybe.
say.
She also kind of played the role of the other woman a little bit
Yeah.
with a relationship with Luke. I think that made me dislike her. I usually don't like I really associated myself with Rebecca, so I might have got a little too personally attached to the movie, which is
Yeah.
why I didn't like Alicia, but I guess that makes for I don't know, a good character to hate on.
Yeah, I suppose, but I think as a villain like she could have had a more heavy presence, but
Mm.
that's my opinion. So with the mannequins, I feel like they're weird in terms of them talking to Rebecca.
I disagree. I kind of liked it. I think like when I go shopping and I see something on a mannequin, it's kind of like the mannequin's talking to me, like, "Hey, buy this." And I
Yeah,
liked at the end when they were all applauding her. I thought that was cute. Yeah,
yeah. I enjoyed that moment, but it's just like the concept of them talking, like having a conversation, was just weird. Like I get that was in her head, but it's weird.
no, yeah, I'm gonna disagree. I actually enjoyed that. Wait, so going back a bit, Numpy, who do you
Hmm.
think was the primary antagonist or villain of this movie?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Money. I don't know. I don't know.
I would say Rebecca was almost her own antagonist.
Yeah, sure. You could look at it that way.
Yeah, like she was kind of battling herself in a way, and I think that's why like it wasn't as crucial for Alicia to have a bigger role because she wasn't the main antagonist. It was more,
Yeah,
you know, Rebecca's obsession with shopping and her compulsive lying and you know these poor traits she exhibited. Um while she also exhibited good traits, she was both the hero and the villain of the movie.
yeah.
To herself, which I think
Hmm.
like I can really relate to because like I think a lot of us sometimes we self-sabotage ourselves and can really become our own biggest villains.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like with like the money, like like for Rebecca, it's like the root of all evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's saying like more money, more problems.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
mhm,
yeah. That is true.
absolutely. So like she was originally with Rebecca. She was supposed to have an interview with Alette, but then when she arrives, the front desk tells her that the position has been filled. So I'm just wondering, like, why doesn't she get notified that the position has been filled before arriving to the place? It's like,
That's true, but in my experience, some companies are shitty like that. And they just
really?
won't tell you, and then you'll show up and you'll be like, "Oh." Like to me it wasn't too out of the realm of reality. Like I could see something like that happening.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Because like I don't know, just for me, it's just it did not make sense. But I can see your point for
Mhm.
sure. And there was a moment when Rebecca, when she's waiting for interview with Luke, she smudges perfume from magazine that has been used. Why? It's like why?
Girl is thrifty. No, I'm joking. That is not true.
Because like because we're now like what post pandemic, and you figure you'd like be careful with that stuff, but like you don't know like how many hands have gone through that magazine,
Mhm.
and plus
Yeah.
is the perfume still fresh? Like it's
She
like
needed a quick fix.
yeah, like for sure, yeah. And also too, like clearly like she flubbed the interview with Luke.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering like why is she complaining about not getting the job when she knew that she failed at it?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like she's kind of like inconsistent like that. I agree.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say as a last note with like even though like it is a comedy, some of the comedy for me is like hit and miss. Like I enjoy some of the comedy while like there's some I feel like it's a bit forced at times, but that's just a general note. But
Like what an example, like what would an example be of that?
I don't I don't know like off the top of my head. Like maybe like with I don't know, like some of the stuff with Luke's bosses, I suppose, but I don't know, like maybe it's just I didn't connect with the humor, but
Mhm. Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess I was in a good mood today. I enjoyed the
Yeah.
humor. I enjoyed the humor of the movie. Yeah, to people listening, I watched the movie earlier today.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a bad co-host, but but yeah, no,
That's fine.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe I was in a good mood. I enjoyed the comedy. Yeah, I enjoyed the over the top cheesiness. And I think
Hmm.
it's because it's what I expected, right? Like had I gone into this movie expecting a different style of comedy, I might have been disappointed, but
Yeah.
for
Hmm.
rom-coms, yeah, it definitely fit in.
Hmm. For sure. And I thought like as another note, I just realized this now, like with some of the music choices, it's very 2000s.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised you said this was released in 2009. I thought it was early 2000s, like 2003, 2002.
No, right at the cups just before 2010. So
Mhm.
yeah, so is there anything else you want to add for this category?
Hmm. I'm trying to think. Uh, I'll pass on it for now, but if something comes up later, I'll bring it up.
I guess for me, I just thought of this now, like, why Finland? Like, why does Rebecca use Finland as excuses? And like, why does she use Finnish like as a language that she speaks when clearly she does not know how to speak it?
Well, it's the more you pad your resume, the
but
more likely you are to get that job.
but I'm sure at some point, like whoever she's interviewing, if they're gonna probably ask her to speak Finnish, because again, you never know, which that does happen in that scene when she meets the guys from Finland.
Mhm. Yeah, I think she made a comment at one point in the movie where she's like, no one's from Finland, or I guess that's what she believes, that no one would know Finnish. So I guess she didn't think that far ahead,
It's
which
like
is it, which is true to her character. She doesn't think too hard and too far ahead. So
clearly, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, clearly. So, anything else you want to add or?
No, I think we're good for this section.
Okay, awesome. So let's go on to the trivia. So here are some fun facts I found for this movie. So, as I mentioned earlier, the movie is produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, which I'll be honest, I was surprised that he produced this movie. So this was his first romantic comedy production because usually he produces a lot of the more action genre based movies like Bad Boys or Crimson Tide, Top Gun, to name an example. Because it says here, like all of his other productions, yeah, were primarily action adventure based, and his sixth production to have a female lead after Cat People, Flashdance, Dangerous Minds, Coyote Ugly, and Veronica Guerin. So I
Oh,
thought,
interesting.
yeah, for sure. Because it kind of reminded me, because with the movie Morning Glory, which is a rom com with Rachel McAdams, because I did that previously for this podcast. Because that movie is produced by J.J. Abrams, who's known for producing either like action or sci-fi productions like Lost or Mission Impossible. So
Yeah, that is very interesting. Like Top Gun and this movie are two very, very different movies. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
interesting to see the spectrum of
Mm-hmm.
genres he is covering.
Yeah, absolutely. So next one here, like I have some casting notes. So before Isla Fisher was cast, some actresses that were considered included Reese Witherspoon, Jessica Alba, Jessica Biel, Anne Hathaway, Amy Adams, Emily Blunt, Kirsten Dunst, Katie Holmes, Amanda Bynes, Rachel McAdams, Amanda Seyfried, and Lindsay Lohan.
Hmm,
So
that's a
apparently,
lot.
yeah, it's a lot. So Reese Witherspoon, she turned it down because she thought it was too similar to her role in Legally Blonde.
Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
I don't think I would have liked to see Reese Witherspoon in this. I
Yeah.
think it is too similar to her role in Legally Blonde. Yeah.
Because I think, yeah, with Isla Fisher in this role was a perfect casting,
Hmm.
in my
Yeah,
opinion.
same. Like it's oh God, what's that other movie I saw Isla Fisher in recently? It was the one with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson.
Wedding
Yeah,
Crashers.
Wedding Crashers. Yeah, and so her character in Wedding Crashers and this is very different. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely. So Ed Helms was originally cast as Derek Smith, but scheduling conflicts prevented him from taking the role. Instead, he got the smaller part of Garrett E. Barton, which he went uncredited for. He shot all of his scenes in one day. So that was the scene when Rebecca and Suze are watching this short video on her like saving money,
Okay. Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
yeah. So that was interesting, but yeah. Um, so also to John Lithgow, because he played Edgar Rust in this movie. So apparently he turned down that role twice before finally accepting it. So Fred Armisen was approached for the West role after Lithgow initially turned it down, but then after when Lithgow changed his mind, the Ryan Koenig role was written for Armisen.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the novel is set in London, so this movie changed it to New York City to connect with an American audience.
Mm.
Following the success of Sex and the City, New York City was seen as a selling point to female audiences. What do you think about that choice?
Um, I think I can see why they made that choice. I do agree. Like for me, like New York City, it's more American if they are trying to target this to an American audience. And you're right, like going off the success of Sex and the City, that's a show
Mm-hmm.
that's known for fashion as well. It makes sense why they changed it.
Yeah,
Was it necessary? I don't think so, but
yeah.
like I can see why they did it.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Yeah, because when you think of fashion, like the top city that comes to mind is New York City. So I
Hmm.
get that choice because I don't know, like if I know, I'm sure London has like their fashion, industry, but I'm sure it's not as prominent as New
Mm-hmm.
York, but
Yeah.
I don't know. So Isla Fisher, she researched her role by visiting some overspend slash under earner groups, people whose lives have essentially become unmanageable because of their compulsive shopping.
I mean, she didn't
And
pay me a visit.
I mean, she probably had limited time, so yeah, interesting. So the filming took place in New York, Connecticut, and Florida from February to May 2008. To change the ending to be more sympathetic to audiences during a time of recession, reshoots took place in New York City on December 4th and 8th, 2008. Because I totally forgot that like it came out or was happening around the same time as the recession, which was a
Yeah.
big thing. So
Yeah.
interesting. And lastly, Kristen Scott Thomas, who played the head of Alette magazine, she revealed in 2014 that she did not like the experience of filming. She says, quote, "I thought it would be quite good fun, but I spent my entire time waiting. I hated it. Hated it. And I said that I wouldn't do another one. Funnily enough, I haven't been asked to."
Oh, wow. It's so
Yeah,
crazy how like I would like think if I were an actor on this film, I think it would be really fun to shoot for this
yeah,
film. Yeah, so it's crazy to hear that, the experience was very different behind the camera and like behind the
yeah.
scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, because maybe she wanted, like, I don't know, I'm just guessing, but she probably wanted to contribute to ideas maybe of her character or something. I don't know. Maybe creative differences. Something
Maybe,
happened.
but it
Yeah,
could also be like sometimes working on a set, like maybe like there's a backlog, things don't get done on time, you're just waiting
yeah,
for your shoot and
yeah. That
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. So, lastly, I usually ask this question: should this movie be rediscovered? So, I know we probably know your answer, Mask, but do you want to say it?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think this movie should be rediscovered. I think, especially for rom-com fans, fans of fashion, um, for people who like campy things, definitely recommend this movie.
Yeah, so I would say like if you have not read the books, like if you're a fan of the romantic comedy genre, I say you'll enjoy this movie. And I really enjoyed it for the money aspects of this movie and of course fashion and Isla Fisher, she did a great job along with the rest of the supporting cast. So I would recommend it on that front. So that pretty much concludes this episode of the podcast. So anything you want to plug in, Max, in terms of where people can find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at @max_Hossani. And yeah, I'm not on Twitter and the rest of them, but you can follow me on Instagram if you'd like.
Awesome. So you could find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Linktree at Nomfanelo. You could find the podcast on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Linktree at RD Movies Pod. For on Spotify, you can answer the featured question and poll and rate the podcast. For Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review and rate the podcast. You could submit questions, comments, or suggestions by email, which is rediscoveredmovies@gmail.com, or you could send a voice message on Spotify for podcasters /RD Movies Pod to be featured on the after show, which will air after the season finale.
Ooh.
So, yes. So, are there any final notes you want to share about this movie?
No, but I wanted to give you a huge shout out and thanks, Numpy, for inviting me as a guest on the show. I had a great time and I really enjoyed watching the movie, so thank you for that.
Yeah, that's no problem. And it's happy to have you here for the podcast. Max, I would love to have you back in the future.
Yeah, I'd
So,
love to come back.
absolutely. So, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of the podcast, and I'll catch you on the next one.